Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r slash ProRevenge. In today's episode, force me to deploy, I'll kill your career. You sent me the wrong slate for my pool table, and are now required to send the proper size. Tell me after 4 years I am not qualified. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Force me to deploy, I'll kill your career. Sorry, quite long. Many of you saw this on Petty Revenge, but I guess the mods thought it was too serious, so here it is again. Sorry about the repost. Let's go back a few years. I was a combat engineer platoon sergeant. We had recently gotten a new company commander who thought his sh*t didn't stink. My first interaction with him was when I got back from running AM 240B range, where I was told he wanted to speak to all leadership immediately in the conference room. Well, it took 3 hours for him to arrive, and despite one SG calling many times, he insisted we stay. The entire meeting was him bragging about himself, and saying that he was trying to get the company slotted for a deployment to the Middle East, as well as how excited he was to go. I spoke up and basically said he's a dumbass, but with more words, which ended the meeting, which got me a stern talking to and thinly veiled threats. This captain had been in for 15 years and never once been deployed. That takes effort. He only wanted to go now because he was up for major. It turned out brigade had a mission and asked for volunteers. Captain Dipshit volunteered me to go despite knowing I had gotten married a week earlier. I made it very clear I did not want to go to the higher-ups. I was told it was between myself and the captain. Well, a month out, my sister-in-law committed suicide immediately after she miscarried at 33 weeks. Found them both in the basement of their house. Well, Captain Dipshit didn't care, no leave, and I was still to leave about a week after the funeral. I walked in to talk to the command sergeant major and was immediately dropped from the deployment. But the captain was so far up the battalion commanders as that nothing happened to him. After about 8 months later, Captain Dipshit got his wish. Headquarters, platoon, and one other was slotted to deploy. Of course, because I had the most combat experience and most deployments in the platoon, he naturally decided that's why my platoon should go. Now, in order to deploy, you first have to go to a month-long field exercise where you are graded on performance. This generally applies to the higher levels of leadership. By this time I was just pissed. So I got my squad leaders together and improvised a few missions. First, everyone was to follow the CPT's instructions as literally as possible, no matter how dumb, and not to give any advice. This led us to getting absolutely destroyed in training, which was glorious. Secondly, and most importantly, was the psychological aspect. So, this dipshit commander would go to bed nightly at 2100 no matter what. In the deserts of California, you can find all sorts of creepy crawlies to slip in a sleeping bag while sprinkling juice on his uniform. They'd also periodically hide some of his gear or render his rifle inoperable. So for days this went on. Poor guy slept very little because I ensured his tent was set over top of a beehive. These bees hated any vibration and loved juice. The dumbass never realized why he was constantly getting stung. As we were to be falling under a new brigade, I had to go meet the higher-ups, and wouldn't you know it, the call we were set to fall under turned out had been my first company commander, who I got along great with. I pulled him aside and called up my squad leaders, where we basically told him Captain Dipshit was going to get someone killed, pointed out his erratic behavior and the overall poor performance. Needless to say, he was quickly relieved of command, career killer, and sent back to work in an office where he belonged. As for myself and my platoon, I still didn't want to go, but the new company commander was my old platoon leader from my second deployment, plus I couldn't let my guys go without me. Turned out it would be my last deployment, as some injuries force you out of the military, but everyone came back alive. You sent me the wrong slate for my pool table, and are now required to send the proper size. I am a long-time reader of this thread, first-time poster. I believe this would qualify as malicious compliance, but I will let you all be the judge. I recently purchased a pool table from a very well-known online vendor. After a week or so after making the order, my pool table showed up on 2 pallets. One of the pallets contained the actual table pieces, the legs, sides, frame, pockets, etc. The second pallet contained the 3 pieces of slate, weighing roughly 650 pounds give or take. A few days after receiving the shipment, the pool table installer showed up to do the install. However, he quickly realized that the company had sent me 8-foot slate for a 7-foot table. A very quick bit of background for those who are not aware: slate is heavy, bulky, extremely fragile, and thus very expensive to ship. I called the company and informed them of their error. They then stated that they would ship the new slate out on Monday. I called on a Friday. After a few minutes on the phone, the customer representative, and I did some quick calculations and realized that it would be much more cost-effective for the company to simply send me the actual 8-foot pool table rather than pay to have the 8-foot slate shipped back and the new proper-sized slate shipped to me. Although we originally wanted the 7-foot table, because my fiancé and I like to play pool at bars, and that is the standard bar size, we did have the room for an 8-foot table. Because of this, I was fine with them sending the 8-foot table instead. After all, the price difference between the two sizes was around $100. We had almost finished finalizing everything when the manager got involved. Cue malicious compliance, get it? Like a pool cue. The manager got on the phone and informed me that he had no intentions of upgrading the table size for free, and that he would send someone to pick up the original slate pallet and drop off the proper size slate. The shipping for the table was free, so the company had paid all original shipping costs, around $1,200. Now, they are paying another shipping cost, around $800, to get the original slate back, in addition to another $700 to $800 to ship the new slate. The pool table itself was under $3,000. The company has now spent nearly $2,800 to sell me a roughly $3,000 pool table. To add insult to injury, because I incurred a $200 fee from the original failed install, the company had to also credit me $200. In total, the company has not only lost any kind of profit from the table, but have actually spent more money getting the order right than the original purchase price. By comparison, had the company simply sent me the 8-foot table, it would have cost them another $300 in shipping, in total, to ship the new table pieces and return shipment of the original table. I now have a beautiful 7-foot slate pool table, and the company is out around $3,000. Tell me after 4 years I am not qualified. From 1994 to 1999 I worked second shift maintenance, 1600 to 0400, at a hog slaughter plant, and the supervisor for the first shift got pissy about me repairing some of the instruments that went down during my shift, and told my supervisor that I wasn't qualified to do repairs. I had been doing these repairs for 3 or 4 years, so I just started placing tags on the broken instruments. The tags would have things like production say this stopped, broken, when that was all a production worker would say: production says this is no good. At the start of first shift one day, they were totally out of one instrument and had to repair enough to get started for the day. The first shift manager stayed late, and I was called into a meeting with my supervisor, the first shift supervisor, first and second maintenance superintendents, and the plant superintendent. When asked why all these instruments weren't getting repaired, I just reminded the first shift supervisor that he said I wasn't qualified as a repair tech for any of the production instruments. I was told to go back to repairing any instrument that I knew I could so production didn't falter. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.